sharing with me, you were talking about your LinkedIn, and your LinkedIn, it was like you were mentioned in 15,000 queries last week, and I was like, Jesus. So
yeah, that was funny. It trickled in over a 3-week period. I went from 9,000 to 10,000 to 14,000. It was almost 15,000. But it was weird. It didn't happen before that, and it hasn't happened since. But what I think is, people are taking notice of certain keywords, they're using certain keywords. Now they might be, when I say there could be CEOs, there could be business owners that come from large corporations that now are working from home, that may have had to downsize their internal teams, that are now looking for outside resources. So there could have been a flush because they were looking for people and they're just trying to find people, but that's how many views my page had. And I'm just thinking, well, out of those views, someone might have written my name down. You never know. Or they might have connected with me online. But eventually it all trickles in. I wish, sometimes I do wish it would come in as fast as I wanted to. But then I think about that and I think, you can only handle what you can handle, and you're at where you're at for a reason.
hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Trade Secrets by Tripletote. I'm glad to have you guys on this episode because we have a very special guest. She's the person that I've come to meet through the podcast journey. And the great thing about her is that she's self-taught. She teaches people how to market their own websites and how to market their own social media posts to gain more attention or to find out more research about analytics. She started her own company, and I want to bring her to the show. Her name is Lydia Graham. How's it going, Lydia?
Going very well.
Just to give people a little backdrop on your story, like, where are you from? Where were you born, raised? What's your background?
I was born in Florida, and I lived there until I was about 9 years old, in Milford, Massachusetts. And we were there till I was about 13, and we moved to Framingham, Mass, which is about 25 to 30 minutes from Boston. So I was raised with two parents that are both ministers. I grew up a preacher's kid and sort of had like a very structured background. My parents are still together after over 60 years, about 60 years married actually. And so I have 4 sisters, and we're all spread apart across the map. So it's kind of interesting.
Good. Now, just a quick question. You and your 4 sisters, are you guys all really different from each other in certain ways?
In a lot of ways, we're alike. In a lot of ways, we're different. One of the things that we grew up with in our family was a lot of laughter, a lot of picking on each other, a lot of jousting. So we do that a lot, and a lot of people might not understand it. It was our way of staying grounded, sort of like a way of just saying, don't forget who you are. Yeah, it's a lot of fun growing up.
Yeah, I love when I get around family because no matter what you've accomplished or what you haven't accomplished, in my family, I'm still just aunt, or I'm still just Twani, they would call me, which is kind of embarrassing.
Right.
But I'm still just that, and I'm actually, as much as I do podcasts, as much as I'm on social media, I'm actually very quiet around family because we have a lot of A-type personalities, and it's just so funny and interesting just to hear the family interact. And then I love it. I absolutely love it.
So it's just me and my 4 sisters, like I said, and then I have 2 daughters, and my husband has 2 sons. So we're now in Connecticut. We moved to Connecticut in 2017.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Now, you yourself, you are really interested in always doing a lot of personal development. And I know that you were telling me that on your route to personal development, one thing you take pride in is like really taking time to learn your craft. Where did that start from? Were you always like that in school? Were you self-taught?
Actually, when I was in school as a young kid, I struggled in school, and I couldn't understand it until I got older. I struggled a lot with concentration and being able to focus. And I've realized now, fast forward, working alone and going to school online, that I'm actually I'm better focused when I'm alone. But I did well in school. I went to school in Rhode Island. I went to school in Massachusetts, and then I went to school for a couple of years for college. But when I had children, I went through a divorce. I was alone for a while. I raised my girls by myself. Well, I had my parents' help, my sister's help, but I was pretty much on my own. And during that time, I tried to go back to school, but I just never had the time and the flexibility because of raising the girls. So I decided to go back in 2018. And I work well with others as well, but I find that working remotely, working in a quiet space, I'm able to focus and really concentrate on a lot of things, do a lot of research, just a lot of things that I have time for now that I'm working from home. So I do a lot of research because it's just my mind always wants to know. It always wants to expand. So that's where that comes from. It's one of those things where I just feel like you can never know enough. That makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. So when you're even studying now, are you full on 100% focused, or are you a person that needs multiple breaks to stay focused even?
Yeah, I feel like everyone should take a break. I don't think that anyone should be behind a laptop all day. I don't feel like anyone can concentrate on one specific thing all day. The brain doesn't work that way. Most of us have a lot of different things going on in our lives, which makes us think about different things throughout the day. I think it's healthy to take a break, especially with the weather is getting nice. Just get outside for at least 10 or 15 minutes. And now where a lot of people are working from home, I suggest that they force themselves to go outside and get some fresh air, to kind of remember that there is a balance to life. Because you can get just as caught up at work at home once you get used to that setting as an office space and forget to take care of yourself. So self-care is very important. So I just try to take at least, periodic breaks throughout the day. It's random. So
Understood. Now, how did you get into the business you're in of helping people and businesses market themselves on the internet? How did you even decide that's what you wanted to do?
So in 2014, my husband started a company called Catalyst. It was to focus on helping people with their technology services. And at the time, I was helping him manage and hire, and I was doing all of the social media work for the company. And I had always been the kind of person that I always played around online anyway, but this time I was building social media pages. I built our website, and I did it all by just going in and doing YouTube tutorials, just teaching myself and educating myself. Fast forward to 2017, we moved, and I found myself in an area where he had a job and I didn't have a job. And I said, well, it's time for me to focus on something that I really love doing. And I realized I loved creating online. So I decided to go to school at Southern New Hampshire University to finish my business communications degree, now with a focus on marketing and new media. I had a focus. I had something that I actually really loved to tie into that business communications piece of it, because I really never knew what I wanted to do with that before. So it's self-taught, and then with the school help and support, there's a lot of different aids for that you can just pick up on. Like they share links, for instance, for HubSpot. HubSpot Academy is it's a very well-known customer relations management program, and it is built and designed for you to keep track of all of your clients and email them from there and do all kinds of graphics and different ways of communicating that way through the database. So what I do is I take advantage of their online tutorials, which are free. And those tutorials span from web development, email marketing, social media management, inbound marketing, and it's all free. It's actually really good because it just keeps you sharp in the industry.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, so when you saw the litany and the variety of things that you could actually learn and do when it comes to social media, website building, digital marketing, after exploring it all, what skill sets did you like most that you took into what you currently do for business? Like what are the 3, 4, 5 things that you do as a result of that self-teaching?
It's really good. I think what I have listed on my website of things that I love to do, I really love touching upon it all, but I would say that my favorite thing that I enjoy doing is writing. And I also like to put visuals along with those articles that I, so graphics and writing. The reason why I love writing is because that is usually, if it's done well, it's done from a place of an educational component. There's a lot of research behind it, and that research element falls into it. I love to write, but it's not just writing in general. It's writing about the person or the company, that something about them that interests me. For instance, I have a client that I wrote about. He does custom furniture, and I wanted to know his background. So different things about people that no one else would know. And I also like graphics and signs because you can tell a story in videos as well. You can tell a story with visual aids, that you can't just do with an article. In today's world, it's a lot different than when newspaper ads came out when we were young, because newspaper ads kind of had a limited feature, or but it was very, black and white. So to be honest, it was just black and white.
Mm-hmm.
So now we can create content and develop graphics around what we write, and it pops, and it brings more engagement to that post. So it's a lot different, and I like that element of it. So yeah, I would say that's one of my favorite things.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know that the client you're talking about is Jermaine Ward. He was the last guest on the podcast, and we even connected over your ability to find channels for people to tell their story. You're a storyteller. You're like a biographer for people's lives, and that's awesome. How do you locate people you're interested in working with, and then how do you evaluate if the opportunity is right for you? Like, how do you know?
So it's really funny. I don't really have a set method of finding people. I would like to think that the energy finds me, but it's sometimes not that easy. It is a lot of online interaction. I'm online a lot, whether it's LinkedIn, alignable.com. I'm also on Facebook off and on. I find that the connections that I make happen to be on LinkedIn and Alignable. It's different for everybody. You can definitely find clients on Facebook. Facebook has over 2.47 billion active users worldwide. So there's definitely activity on there, and I have reached out that way as well. But I find Facebook to be more, and just the way my mind works, I look at it from a professional level of LinkedIn, it brings you together as a networking type of connection. And then Facebook is more for, okay, now I have the client. We're a little more relaxed. We've talked about things and said, hey, I want to reach out on instant message to send you a quick message. Is that okay? Now it's more relaxing, and I can have that conversation as well. So I look at Facebook as more of like a, once you've gotten to know the person and you feel more comfortable, you can have that conversation in a different way. Where I look at LinkedIn, like this is where we go for the business opportunities. I feel like it's a very respected website database. I feel like it has a lot of resources on there as far as like what kind of companies are still active, what they're doing, how they're doing it. And then if they have a Facebook page, you can always tie back to that page to see if that's active and current, and then go back and forth that way. I've done that where I've looked at the LinkedIn page, had reached out to a connection, saw their Facebook page or their Twitter page, saw that it wasn't that built up. Now I have a conversation. I can go back on LinkedIn and say, hey, I noticed that you have a Facebook page, you have a Twitter page. How active are you on social media, and how important is that to your company needs? Whereas there's a lot of people, and I don't knock how people reach out, but there's a lot of cookie cutter email marketing methods out there where it's the same old template regardless of who you're emailing. And what I find interesting about that is that you're not really making a connection to the person in that way. You don't, whereas when I do a little bit of research and say, okay, I know that Antwaine has this page, I know he's got this, now I have a conversation starter. That's how my mind works. There has to be a reason behind what I do. There has to be a reason why I connect with you. There has to be something that motivates me to connect with you, whether it's not just the pages itself, but what the company is about. Something that sparked my interest with you was because you had a YouTube channel and you had a podcast. And I don't think I've ever met a minority business owner that had a podcast. So for me, that was just interesting. I wanted to know more about you. So it's got to be something that comes from the heart, sort of. I just don't do things to do things.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a reason, there's elements behind, and then once I have a conversation with someone, once I'm blessed enough to get on the phone or interact with them in a certain way, and I find out that, yeah, there was a reason why we connected. That is important to me. So a lot of people out there, they run an agency and they just want to have clients. I get that. But for me, it's important to have a relationship with that client, to know something about them, to want to, get up every day and say, oh, I'm so excited to work with these people because they're teaching me something. I'm a marketing person. I'm learning everything that I need to know in my industry, but there's so many other things in the world to know. And I just want to be able to say, okay, I want to know more about this client and what they're doing and how they're doing it. And to me, that's what motivates me to keep going.
Yeah. I feel like when you're working with the right client or clients, it gives you a infinite source of energy.
Definitely.
Like you said, you go in and you actually research somebody. You look at the other pages they may have for their personal brand, their name, also their company name, and you put it all together in like your own mental portfolio to say, how can I bring some value to this person? And I definitely I used to have a text message service where people would select what they like to do for entertainment, and then I would send you one text per week based upon what you like to do for entertainment. It was customized only to that level. You will only receive what you like for entertainment. And when we put that together, it was as deep as I could go given the technology at the time. So we were working together, me and a good friend of mine working together to bring this thing forward. And this is before social media, before even smartphones. But what I notice now is that people really are quick to just type up one message. They want to make sure the word is perfect on that one message. And then they kill it because they copy and paste it to everybody. When I feel like even if my message is not perfect, I have dyslexia, so sometimes my spelling is atrocious. If the person can read in that I've taken time to do a little bit of research on them, they're more willing to have a conversation. And then on the other point you made, if I feel like the customer can, one, support the services that I'm offering, but they actually really give a damn about the customer, I'm willing to work with them so much more than somebody who's just trying to transact, because even the person trying to transact is just trying to not have a relationship with me. They're just trying to say, do X and I'll pay you money. And I'm like, well, you got to understand that everybody's doing what you're doing with the copy and paste method. So if you really want to stand out, you got to take time to customize. But you're not willing to take time to customize, and you're definitely not paying for me to take the time to customize, so it's not going to work. But if somebody actually cares, even like Jermaine about his furniture and stuff, this dude is so passionate about all that he does. He has very little time to do anything else that you want to help him.
It's amazing. One of the things that you said about the cookie cutter, none of us we don't wear the same size shoes. We don't wear the same size clothing. So the method that we approach people needs to be different because every personality, every company, everything they do is different. And another thing is we don't have to have perfect communication. Sometimes it's just a question. And sometimes, it's just a matter of saying, hey, do you have 5 minutes to talk? These days, people have a little more flexibility with their schedules. Mm-hmm. So it's all about connecting and getting to know people and not being afraid to ask. The thing about a cookie cutter email template that annoys me is that you know when you get them because it's got all this stuff laid out, whether you need it or not. And it's usually followed by another aggressive email because it's all about one thing that you and I talked about in the past couple of weeks is that we don't need 1,000 clients to do well in this industry, right? So I don't need to email 1,000 people the same generic email. All I need to do is connect with about 5 to 10 very good companies or clients out there that are doing some interesting things, that have a marketing budget, that can invest in their company. And we can both do very well. And I say both because I look at it as a dual thing. It's not just them paying me to promote them. It's me making them look good and helping them to grow. so that they can increase their presence, get the clientele or customers that they need, and then as they grow, the tools and the different methodologies that we use to promote them changes. So they may need something that's a little more high end. They may need a contact from a major network. But now we're growing together and we're able to develop those things together. Every connection leads to another connection, and so on and so forth. So all you need is one good handful of connections and people, and it can take off. So that's why I also look at it like, the main reason why I take my time is because I'm in a place in my life right now where I just feel like every connection matters. And that at the end of the day, like I was telling you about the inspirational piece of it, I'm looking for something that's different. You and I have talked about that a lot. I'm looking for people, first of all, I'm looking for a lot of minority business owners, because that inspires me. That really motivates me to get up, because we need to see more people that look like us coming together, working together, highlighting each other online, supporting one another in developing our business communities, because there are a lot of Black people in America doing great things that need the exposure, that may not have the presence right now. So that's one of the things that I'm focused on and I'm really passionate about. I work with everyone, no matter what they look like, but that is my passion. That is something that I just really, really want to do. I want to be able to just really create that unique bond, that experience that you don't see on the online world these days. So that's very important.
I know you talked about the downside of people trying to do the cookie cutter spam email blast to everybody in their connections. What are some other tips that you can give people out there trying to promote their t-shirt, their jewelry line, their business, their moving company? What are some other tips you can give people to do to promote their business online?
That's a great question. It makes me think, there's a lot of people out there that can't afford marketing services, and they're doing it on their own, or they have an intern that they're not paying, or whatever way the strategy that they're doing it. There's a lot, and when I say a lot, there are so many resources online that I can't even keep up with them all. You have to find the resource that works for you. There are a lot of free and low-cost tools and databases that can help people, such as Canva. Canva is a graphics website. It is free. You can go in and it's pretty simple. They even have the tutorials built right into the database to show you how to use it. It's very user-friendly. And you can go in and use their content or design your own and bring it into the database. And you can build graphics. You can type a little blurb on the graphic. You can take the graphic, post it to your account, type a little passage right on the LinkedIn or Facebook account right above it or underneath it. And that is a free resource. It does have a paid subscription, but it's really not that difference between the free service and the paid one. I think the only difference is you can change your images, you can change your graphic size without having to go in and manually input the size. On the paid version. It just automatically changes for you. So if you click on Facebook, it just gives you the right sizing right away but those are little things that people will find that they don't really need to do as long as they want to save money. Another thing is there are free graphics everywhere. So aside from Canva, Google.com has graphics. So when you go to Google and you Google something, you click on images, and under the images you can find tons of free graphics. Also, there's pixels everywhere. They call them pixels, GIFs. That's the animated graphics. There's a website called gifs.com. You can go in there and you can pick some fun. If you want to have something that's entertaining with our marketing company, we can be bright and colorful. So I can go in and pick out something that's a little more animated, a little more cartoonish or funny if I want to send out a funny message or whatever. It kind of gets that attention that gets to your page, that engagement. There's also just effective keyword strategies. That's a free method. Keywords are free, but you have to build keywords based around your company, what you do, and you also have to remember that although you might have the perfect keywords for what you do, based upon what people are looking for in a day, you may not come up for 3 or 4 weeks. Right? Like right now, for instance, I'm going to use an example. We have everything going on with George Floyd. and the pandemic. So there's a lot of people that are doing research that has nothing to do with anything else but that. So you may have weeks where your engagement is low because the world and what's going on in our culture makes a difference in what people are searching and researching. If people are just looking at Amazon all day, then that's going to be what they're looking for. But the keywords that you can filter in, you can take some of these things that are going on with our culture and just blend it into what you're doing. So for instance, using the hashtag BLM, the Black Lives Matter, that will get, even though you're using all your other keywords such as podcaster, interviewer, you can still throw that in there and that gets that traffic to that post. So sometimes you have to use what's going on in the world as long as it makes sense. Using a random keyword like Trump, I wouldn't want to use that word on my post maybe because I don't really, like him that much, but to be honest. But something else like, the Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, different things like that, because that's a movement right now. You can tie that into what you're doing, and it's okay to do that because as long as you're being authentic about it, because I really am, obviously I care about what's going on. If you're just using it and you don't really care about it, then that's another thing. But it is what it is, and that can get different pieces of traffic to your website. So you would use podcaster, interviewer, business owner, Black business owner, Black Lives Matter. It just all kind of feeds into that. Mm-hmm. It kind of makes sense because it's like a little, that's how my mind works with pattern. So it's going into Black owned business, support Black businesses, Black Lives Matter, that kind of thing would work for you. And it brings that traffic to your page. There's going to be days where things are just really slow and there's no rhyme or reason. I don't really understand all the algorithms and why things are where they are. And there are days where you get a lot of views and a lot of engagement, and just being consistent with it is the important thing.
Now I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit, just a small little bit. I remember when we first started connecting, right? And I was like, yeah, I think I got a video. Sorry, the motion detector went off for the light. I think I have a video that has this many views, and you was like, oh God, if my YouTube video got that many views, I would just die. And it's just a testament to how well you do when you're working for your clients. Like, even
I don't even remember saying that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. But I think that I'm only bringing it up because listening to like what you go through almost on a daily basis, you do all this research just to find the best keywords before you even begin to write a piece for your client. You do all this research first. And so, yeah, I mean, if you do all that research, you should be getting thousands of views for every video because you put in the work. And, you just make it more.
It's not one of those things where you just get thousands of views right away. At the end of the day, people have to know who you are. One of the things that are important is Nike, Amazon, all these major companies, they didn't get to where they were overnight, and they were doing it back in the day when we didn't have the online resources. So that's kind of been interesting. So nowadays we have so much stuff going through our feed that we have to remember that us as an individual, we're just in that feed, and based on what people are looking for, they might come upon us. But if you stay consistent, they see you present and showing up every day, that makes a difference. But it takes time. And there's no set thing that says it's going to happen in 6 months or 3 months. You were saying the pros and cons of marketing. Well, this is one of the cons. This is one of the downsides. We don't know what's going to happen. We can't tell you why people are driven to one piece of content as opposed to another. It really is all about that unknown algorithm. But staying present, staying consistent, you're going to have people eventually reaching out to you or just noticing you so that when you reach out to them, they'll know who you are. So it's just keeping that presence. My Facebook page went from 300 followers. I now have over 1,300 followers. That took time. And the followers mean something to me because they're people that I've reached out to invite them to my page based on what I think that they're looking for. So it's also just people have a bunch of different followers, but they might not, be anything that is real. You can buy followers online if you want to, but that's not a real connection. So I like to have real connections with people and just make sure that that they see that I'm being consistently, I'm showing up consistently. So that's important to me.
Yeah, I know one week you were sharing with me, you were talking about your LinkedIn, and your LinkedIn, it was like you were mentioned in 15,000 queries last week. And I was like, Jesus. So
yeah, that was funny. It trickled in over a 3-week period. I went from 9,000 to 10,000 to 14,000. It was almost 15,000. But it was weird. It didn't happen before that and hasn't happened since. But what I think is, people are taking notice of certain keywords, they're using certain keywords. Now they might be, when I say there could be CEOs, there could be business owners that come from large corporations that now are working from home, that may have had to downsize their internal teams, that are now looking for outside resources. So there could have been a flush because they were looking for people and they're just trying to find people, but that's how many views my page had. And I'm just thinking, well, out of those views, someone might have written my name down. You never know. Or they might have connected with me online. But eventually it all trickles in. I wish, sometimes I do wish it would come in as fast as I wanted to. But then I think about that and I think, you can only handle what you can handle, and you're at where you're at for a reason. So it's all gonna,
Now, how long have you been doing the business?
So I've been doing the business since 2018. December is when I decided to, and at the time it was called LDG Marketing, which is my initials. I changed it to Graham Virtual Marketing Solutions in May of 2019. And I decided to look at it as an agency instead of doing freelance work. When I first started, I was doing freelance work. I wasn't really taking it too seriously because I had just started school and I was trying to balance, getting it all started and off the ground. I didn't have a very strong online presence. I had a presence, but not for this. So it took time for me to develop that. And then I got my first few clients in March of 2018. I've worked with churches, I've worked with insurance companies, I've worked with people like Jermaine. I've worked with project-based things where it's just they pay for the project, they need a page put up, they need a website. And I've worked with people that have become clients that have gone and come back, but it changes all over the place all the time. So I'm just looking for like a really, like I said, interesting, bunch of clients that I can really work with and just, develop my time, develop their presence, and just work with them. With anything that has to do with digital marketing. When it comes to digital marketing, it's web development. I do social media development, anything to do with article writing, content development, and I also do videos. I do videos where I can set up a video for your header, for your Facebook header. I can just do a video about the company, whatever you need. And I just use a lot of online resources for that. And there's a ton of other stuff that I do as well. It's all posted on my website, which is grahamvnsolution.com.
So my last question for you was, what's on the horizon for you? What things are you looking forward to?
The collaboration between you and I, growing with your team. I'm also looking to extend my reach within my digital marketing company. So more content developers, more website developers that I can connect with. So that when I start to bring on the influx of clients I'm hoping to bring on for 2020, I can say, okay, you know what, we can work together as a team, make money together, kind of grow that reach. I can't do it all by myself. There's no way that I could build 10 websites in 1 week. But if I had a team, a virtual team of other digital marketing experts, that was the thought behind starting the company. Graham Virtual Marketing Solutions was a thought process of, you don't have to be in the same country anymore to work with one another, whether it's a client level or a partnership level. So I saw it being a virtual company where I can not only have obviously clients, but also have a virtual team. So when I needed someone to write a piece of article for someone, because I have 5 other people kind of knocking at my virtual door, I could say, you know what, I can split this work up between myself and my virtual team. That takes trust and that takes time. Like you and I both know, we're both Connecticut, so I know where you are. But a lot of times, people outside of the country or outside of the state, it might be a little bit different as far as like building that relationship. So it just takes time and it takes a lot of trust building. And I'm just taking my time with that piece of it. I'm not rushing it. I'm not looking. I just want to develop it. And I've already met a lady on LinkedIn. We're supposed to have a conversation tomorrow or Thursday. and we're going to talk about that possibility. So it's just a matter of just connecting, having a conversation. And I think there's a gut thing where you just know if it's going to work or not. And I listen to my gut a lot when it comes to these type of things.
That's awesome. Just for the audience out there, for anybody who wants to connect with you, anybody who definitely wants to use your services, just give us a good rundown of your website and your social media handles.
When you say a good rundown,
like list them all.
My website is Graham, as in graham cracker, V as in Victor, M as in Michael, solution with no S at the end, .com. It's got everything on there as far as my Facebook page, my LinkedIn page, my Twitter page. I mean, I could go on and on with all the pages I have, but everything should be listed on the website. You can reach out to me through there. There's my phone number is on the website. My email, which is lgraham@virtualllp.com. And the phone number is 203-701-9115. They can reach out to me anytime.
Thank you for coming on. One thing that I know that you brought as value to my viewers is, one, explaining the nuances of social media in general that can make it effective, and two, actually giving tangible websites and sources they can go to look. And a lot of people can do these things on their own or learn these things on their own and really boost their business, because I know when you jump into that giant pool of 30 social media sites, and you can be using hashtags, or you can be finding the right time to post, or you could be finding the right title for a YouTube video. A lot of that stuff is so daunting. SEO, a lot of stuff is so daunting, but if a person can just pick the niche of things that fit them and their style, they'll have way more success than trying to be everything to everybody. You know what I mean?
Definitely. People find websites or social media sites that work for you and stick with them. Don't try to overdo it, because sometimes you lose track of where you are, and you don't want a page that's kind of sitting out there, in la la land.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to keep everything current. So it's very important. It's more important to have 3 or 4 pages, but they're all fully developed and updated, than to have 30 pages and there's something missing because of the not being able to keep up. So.
Yeah, and I think that leads to your bigger point, which is substance and quality is a lot of times more important than the quantity of things you're doing. It has to be at least both,
And another thing I wanted to mention before we get off of this is, we didn't touch upon all the things that I know, and we're going to touch upon that, I'm sure, in the future. But I wanted to let people know that I am a resource of knowledge. I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to this stuff. And we haven't really touched upon all the stuff that I really delve into. So if they ever have a question, even if they just want to say, we just pick her brain about this, feel free to call, feel free to email me. I'm here as a resource.
That's awesome.
See, or whether you're a client. So.
Well, I'm glad to have you a guest on the show. I'm glad that my viewers, listeners, and readers get a chance to connect with you if possible, if they need any help or have any ideas. And we look forward to having you back on the show for a deep dive where you show us how to actually do these things.
Yes, that'd be fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and have a nice day.
You too.